Floors for living, the flooring experts.
Welcome to this video. My name is Kurt. I'm the president and owner of Floors for Living. Today we're going to talk about tile. First of all, we're going to tell you how to make the right selection, and also we're going to tell you what to look for when it comes to installation. We want to make sure that you make your best decision. We also want to make sure that you're going to be protecting your investment. So let's get started. The first and most important thing you want to start out with a tile installation is to choose the right type of tile. You need to choose porcelain tile instead of the traditional ceramic. The reason why is porcelain is up to 60% harder to break and crack and chip. You certainly don't want a floor that's going to look like this right here with cracks in it. That's why you choose a porcelain tile. Now porcelain actually has a breaking strength of 400 as an average, while ceramic is only 250. So that means if you don't have a perfect foundation underneath it, if there's any movement in there, it's really easy to crack. So choose porcelain, not ceramic. So let's get started with the installation process. The first thing you need to make sure is that you have a great foundation to work on. Now what happens in Houston, Texas is we have concrete foundations. Now under these concrete foundations we have membranes. These membranes are supposed to protect us from the water coming up through, because when the water comes up through it, several things happen. Well, and these membranes with time actually do break down. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. So here's what happens when the membrane breaks down on you. First of all, you're going to have a crack in your concrete as shown here. That crack will actually telegraph through the tile in this picture. And last but not least, we've seen this an awful lot, is it actually will erupt through the grout, breaking up the grout and actually leaving a white residue on top. So how do we avoid that? Well, what we do is we use what they call a waterproofing and crack isolation membrane on every job. This shows someone rolling it on the floor. That's exactly what we do. Now we started this the first of this year and do it on every single job because we want to make sure with our guarantee that you're going to be covered and we don't have to worry about you. That's why we give you a lifetime installation guarantee that actually covers cracks, because we use that waterproofing and crack isolation membrane. When it comes to installation, we must use a latex or polymer-modified mortar when we put down the tile. The reason why is very, very simple. We have so much expansion contraction with our concrete. If you don't, it's going to pop right off the floor. You see what happens with our very humid and wet climate at times, and also our very dry climate, especially in the wintertime when we dry out our homes, the floors expand and then they contract. Now our tile doesn't expand and contract with it because obviously we use porcelain tile and it's made not to do that. So if you use the wrong mortar, this is what can happen. So again, it's very, very important. Use a latex or polymer-modified mortar and you can avoid problems. When it comes to mortar, we also need to go ahead and look for a mortar that's actually what they call a large format mortar, which also has a high shear strength. Now what is the shear strength? It's the amount of hold that you have between the tile and the floor. So it's very, very important to get something that's 300 shear strength or above. The average one sold out there is only 175. So when you look at a tile installation like this one right here, that's caused because what happened when you had the movement in the floor, the mortar let loose from the floor, and then you had a disaster job that you're going to have to replace and spend a lot of money. We only use, and I suggest that you only get a shear strength that's above 300. Now it's very important that you look at the numbers when it comes to porcelain tile. So again, make sure that you reuse the right products, you'll be much happier. It's very important that we apply the mortar with the right size trowel. What the industry mandates is that you use a 1/2 inch trowel when it comes to porcelain tile that's put on a floor. Now what a lot of people do to cut costs is they'll go ahead and use a 1/4 inch trowel because they only use half the adhesive. But the problem with that is it doesn't give a very good bond to the floor. In fact, I had a brand new house built by one of the big builders, and they used an installer who didn't use very much adhesive. After the installation was done, even several days, I could actually take up that tile with my fingernail. So you know that wasn't put down too well. In fact, when I looked at the trowel marks below it, it didn't even cover most of the floor. So make sure that you use a 1/2 inch trowel and not the 1/4 inch trowel that's actually used for people just to make more profits. It's very important that you use the trowel in the correct manner to go ahead and get a great installation. The traditional way of doing it, or the old way I should say of doing it, when you put it on with swirls, which they do with most adhesives, will cause an awful lot of problem. What you must do is you actually must use straight lines when you put that mortar down, or you're going to have a lot of problems. In fact, as you can see in this demonstration right next to me, what they did is they put down a tile with two different applications, one with the straight lines, one with the swirls, and they beat the heck out of it with a hammer. Now, what happens with the straight lines is it has channels in there, and those channels can collapse because the air can get out. When you have swirls like this one right here, it can't get out and the tile easily breaks, because what happens, you have those pockets that aren't supported where the air can't come out, so the mortar can't get to the actual tile. As you can see in this display right here, it actually shows through a piece of glass what it actually looks like when the mortar cannot collapse down and you don't have a very good installation. So make sure that you play it straight, make sure that the installer is using straight lines when it comes to troweling the mortar. We are now at the point where we get to talk about my favorite thing when it comes to tile installation system, and that's using a lippage system versus the spacers. Now here's what happens when you do a tile installation, especially with the spacers. You get those highs and lows from tile to tile, and to go ahead and make it so you don't notice that as much, you make a really wide grout line. As you can see in the picture right here, you have a hazard right there. You're going to go ahead and hurt your foot when you walk across it, but it's certainly going to grab the dirt. Now what happens with this next picture, as you can see, this is actually from one of the box stores. I took a picture while I was there. You have so many highs and lows from tile to tile that it actually did grab the dirt. So not only does it not look good, you have huge grout lines, and you have places that hold that dirt, so you're going to have to get on your hands and knees and scrub it out, which would be no fun. So make sure that you use a tile lippage system. Now here's what they look like when we do it in a normal room. Now when that room's done, it makes a beautiful picture, but we use a lot of them. In fact, we'll go through millions of them per year. So we buy them right so we can afford to do your job the best way possible. So whatever you do, you're gonna have your tile for a long time. You don't want really wide grout lines, you want really small grout lines, and you don't want those highs and lows from tile to tile. So choose and demand a tile lippage system, not a spacer. If you really want to be happy with your tile installation, there's only one choice, and that's to use a stain-proof and color-perfect grout made by Fusion. Those premixed grouts are the best way to go by far. There's a couple reasons for that. The first reason is that in the old days when you used to use sanded grouts, you'd mix them on the job site, and when you wipe off the grout, a lot of the color would come out because it's just in sand, and sand can easily be changed. So you had to go ahead and recolor it, you'd have to clean it all the time, you'd have to seal it all the time, and it would still look bad. With these new grouts, it looks so much better. But here's what happens, like I say, if you use a traditional grout, you're going to get a different coloring such as this. Or here's another one that shows actually a shower, and that doesn't look good at all. So by choosing a stain-proof and color-perfect grout, a premixed grout, you're going to be so much happier. That's the best choice. To be able to give you our lifetime installation warranty, we go ahead and follow the guidelines of the Tile Council of Northern America. One of their most important guidelines is to allow for expansion and contraction around the edge of the room. The reason why is because our floors expand and contract, but our tile does not. If it doesn't have anywhere to go, it's going to do this right here. So what happened in this installation is, by our competition I should say, is within a couple years the job actually failed, and because they had an inferior warranty, we had to replace it for them so they could get something they don't have to worry about down the road. And again, as you can see, that tile had so much pressure on it, actually broke it, actually almost exploded off the floor. You don't want that to happen to your home, so you need to allow for expansion and contraction. We can't do it with grout. What you need to do is you need to leave enough space around the edges that you're going to have to cover it up with a quarter round or shoe molding. We do that 100% of our installations. Now why would someone else not do that? Very, very simple. Shoe molding isn't free, installation isn't free. But if you choose to have it done right, you'll be much happier for a longer period of time. The biggest help I can give to most customers is to teach them how to protect their money. Houston, Texas, I don't know why, it's really known for a big scam. That scam is actually called the float scam. So what you have to do is you have to demand a closed order, which means it's an order that can't change once the job starts. What happens with an open order, as you can see right here, pretty simple. This is an Angie's List review. What happened, they signed an open order that said if their floor isn't exactly perfect, they might have to charge them extra money. Now what they can do it in two different ways. One way, like the box stores do, is they charge up to $1.75 per square foot, or $1,750 on 1,000 square foot if their floor is off a quarter inch, which is hardly anything. So the odds of that happening are pretty high, and that's once the job begins. Now other stores, what they do is they hide it in a bag of float, and what that is they'll charge you maybe $40 a bag of float, all the way up to $75 to $85 for a bag of float. Now that float costs less than $10. It's part of a normal installation. So let me show you right here what happened. This is an Angie's List review. What happened to this customer is they didn't buy from us. We're at $3,500, but they bought from them because they're at $2,500, which is well below my cost. So how are they going to make it up? When they came out to the job site, they looked at the floor and said, oh my goodness, you have the worst floor in the world. We can't guarantee this. We can't install this floor unless we go ahead and do that leveler on the floor. And so what they did is they charged them, as you can see, an extra $2,500 to do that, which is insane. That would mean the leveler was this thick on the floor, and you can't put that much leveler on the floor. The doors won't open anywhere. But that's what they did to this customer. And they even admitted, yes, leveling the floor is an important thing to get done. So again, all the way from $2,500 to $5,000. So if you sign an open order, whatever they tell you, they can double the price just like they did here. You don't want that to happen to you. Don't sign an open order. Sign a closed order so you can't be taken advantage of. A major thing that you need to look out for is installation warranties. The reason why is not everybody's very truthful on their warranty. They're not upfront on it, so you can actually get taken advantage of in a big way. So here's the deal with Floors for Living. We do everything we possibly can to earn a lifetime installation warranty so I don't go broke. And how do we do that? We use the best products, the best procedures, the best installers, so we can go ahead and stand behind that installation for a lifetime. And with our warranty, what we do is not only if there's a problem related to installation, will we go ahead and provide the labor, we'll also provide the products to pay for it, which hardly anybody does. So as I had a couple furnaces in my 3-year-old house fixed, sure, they went ahead and provided something, but at the end of the day, those 2 furnaces cost me $5,000 to go ahead and take advantage of my warranty. Now that happens all the time. Like for instance, you can kind of see this right here. What they talk about is ask us about our lifetime installation warranty. This company has 5 or 6 or 7 stores in town. Anyway, what they do is they have you sign a paper. It's got a lot of writing on it. It's hard to read. In fact, someone my age, well, I almost find it impossible to read without my really good big glasses on. So the thing is that when you read this though, it says in small print that their warranty is only 6 months. In fact, they'll only cover the labor to fix the problem. They won't provide the product. In 6 months, that hardly covers you for anything at all. And if they're just going to provide the initial labor, there's a problem, you're going to pay more money. So another company that just moved to town, I think they're from, I don't know, out west or something like that. They don't even have a store. What they do is they sell out of, well, I don't know where, but what they do is they bring samples to your house. Now, we've gotten bids from them for our people, from our customers, and they're twice as much as we are. So not only are you going to pay a lot of money because they're coming to your house, you're going to feel obligated to buy it, they feel like they can charge you anything, you're not covered on their warranty. They say lifetime installation warranty. Now, if you buy a carpet from them, it's pretty sad. Basically, on their disclaimer page on their internet, it says very clearly that if you have a wrinkle in your carpet after 2 years, you have to pay for it because it's not their fault. Also, if you don't report a problem that you have with your flooring within 72 hours, you may be completely out of their installation warranty, which is really sad. But it doesn't matter. After 2 years, while they're going to go ahead and maybe take care of it, you have to pay a service fee. So that's not really a lifetime installation warranty. If you read the small prints of the warranties, you're going to find out that no one covers you like Floors for Living. So protect yourself. Read the warranties before you sign the paperwork. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. One thing I want to talk about is what we do to help our customers out in the long run. We found the best floor cleaner. It's no rinse, so it's cut your work in half. It's also green, so it's safe for your family. And what we do is we give it to our customers free of charge for the first 10 years, which is a substantial savings. You know how it is when you go to the store, $20 all the time for cleaner? Well, by having it free, we're going to, number one, make sure that you go ahead and use the best floor cleaner. That's going to keep our floors looking better longer, and also we're going to save you a lot of money. Thanks again for watching, and always remember, we're Floors for Living. We're the flooring experts, so you don't have to be.
Floors for Living, the flooring experts.